questions that we have asked when considering AI as a healing tool are: how can we build things based on attunement, built to liberate or sacred design? What if operating logic was aligned with coherence? Technology was primarily used to serve consciousness rather than colonize it. What if sacred design principles shape machine learning? Algorithms could be trauma informed. What if ritual could be encoded in software? And what if your nervous system was the user interface?
Tuning the resonance of an individual, we can pull into these somatic practices or such neuroactivating frameworks like heart math or EFT or Kundalini, these yogic studies. We can also tune into these consciousness rituals.
So this is like magic in the way that magic is just science not understood. So tensegrity would be the school with which I learned the recapitulation and the Toltec practices. Here's possibility management,
theta healing,
Silva method, manifestation practices, this kind of stuff, right? Then we have neuroscience and hormones. Then we have psyche development models, Jungian psychology, the hero's journey, which how are the parables specifically supposed to support people in different frameworks of life? The 8-circuit consciousness model, which I learned from my coach who did chaos surfing. So she matched it with the different aspects of magic. So like the biomaintenance unit would be also psychic protection, for instance. Women Who Run with the Wolves and Clarissa Pinkola Estes. So this is like ethnoclinical Jungian psychology. So this is one of many stories where it's about the process of re-engaging with the intuition. Tuning the resonance of collectives. So this is where we get into the culture building, like the understanding of domination schematics, programming, reprogramming, like the Boat Lighthouse assessment or Bowen's emotional nuclear systems theory, where you see how stress moves through systems and what are the psychological patterns that occur in groups versus equity and inclusion, which I've been doing for about 10 years. I've consulted for Apple, I've consulted for HubSpot, consulted for Zalando. So I've been in this framework for a while. DEI and wellness are two groups within corporate spaces that work closely. Or DEI, you have better fiscal gain because you have better innovation and you have better retention.
Spiral dynamics and the nature of the evolution of civilizations and the patterns that they hold. We can take this into these internalized characteristics of dominant global structures.
Urgency, for instance, perfectionism, binary thinking. These are all like the internal colonization frameworks.
And the ways that those frames affect the way that we communicate or the way that we organize systems.
So also global inclusion markers.
Social permaculture and biomimicry and regenerative principles, we can look at how nature organizes itself. Align our human systems with something that's a little bit more coherent. So one way to look at this is you have, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, but then we have the Inner Development Goals. And it has been researched and seen that we need to develop these frameworks.
So in the same way that like DEI and understanding systems of oppression is connected to internalized characteristics, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and then the Inner Development Goals, you have to have this on the inside to be able to do that on the outside. The tailoring of the intake, assessment, tracking, analytics. I have an AI video conferencing DEI performance analysis tool. Of course, we will have the sound current, like harmonic wave resequencing, solfeggio, that we would match with the individual based on things like we want to explore your energy anatomy. So we take something like chakras, for instance, and we say, hey, of course, the chakras are associated with different things. There's also affirmation-based statements that tune to the chakras, like I understand as a crown and I am as the root. There's also crystals that correspond to them. There's also frequencies that correspond to them. So you can actually have an assessment be, how do I feel, talk, or see about money or whatever my framework is? And then I can rate based on the AI looking at your voice cadence, whether or not you really resonate with each of the statements to determine which chakra is out of balance. Then we match the solfeggio frequency to the thing that's out of balance. And we give you tons of things, whether it's mudras, whether it's yoga, whether it's different energetic practices, whether it's foods or chants, all based on what is out of order. And to do the same thing again within 5 elements Qigong, to do the same thing again within like the meridian-based system, and so on and so forth. These overarching thematic biorhythms, these organ hour clocks.
Imagine AI guided by ethics and heart, supporting your growth without replacing your wisdom. I envision a regenerative stewardship of technology rooted in liberation, sovereignty, and wisdom. And as AI grows in power, the question is moral and spiritual. What kind of world are we building? We need to build AI as a partner in integrity.